Welcome to After the Storm. This is the Canes game review episode for the 3-2 win against the Nashville Predators. In previewing this game, there's not a whole lot to talk about. Frederick Anderson back in the net for Carolina. He had a phenomenal game in this one. Back to him in a little bit. And otherwise, this was the first game since the playoff series in the first round last year between these two teams in the Central Division at that time. Carolina, of course, winning that series in 6 games. I believe each of the 6 games goes to overtime as well. It was a very tight series. And kind of in my opinion, this series was the thing that kind of broke the Canes last year. I know certainly after that series, my confidence in the team kind of just dropped off a cliff going into the series against Tampa. And it was a big bummer because, again, Nashville was a team last year that was almost on the cusp of rebuilding and tearing it all down. They were going to trade Ekholm. They were trying to get suitors for Johansen. They were a team that had just signed Matt Duchene, and it seemed like it was all going wrong for them at once. And then from the heavens above, an angel named Jussi Saros took that team to the playoffs. And since then, they've kind of changed their trajectory. They're kind of doing a retool on the fly. They made some moves in the offseason. Cody Glass coming in a 3-way trade with the Flyers and the Golden Knights. Philippe Myers also played in this game. I'm not sure if Glass did or not. I didn't see much of him. I don't have him written down anywhere for the review for this game. You know, Philippe Myers coming over, a right shot defenseman, was a pretty big piece of that trade as well. So they did a little bit of retooling on the fly. They moved, who did they move out? Ryan Ellis, geez. You think I would remember that. He was the biggest part of that trade. Ryan Ellis ended up going on to Philadelphia, so they took away a little bit of their, defensive core, I want to say. It was very much like a top-heavy defensive core. Roman Josi, Ryan Ellis, and Matthias Ekholm, I should say, are their biggest players. And Ekholm just signed an extension a little while ago. That's probably why Ellis was moved out. A bit of a heated rivalry between these two teams. Some changes on both sides for both teams. So a very different crew coming in on both sides than was in that playoff series. But nevertheless, the rivalry was still there. I don't hate the Nashville Predators. I don't think I hate any team. Maybe Washington, but I don't hate any team. But I've hated playing against the Predators. They talked about it on the broadcast. This is the 17th time in 2021 that these teams have played one another. And I swear, every game has just been a nail-biter so close. Early on in this game, we could see that it was going to be a bit of a different one for Frederick Anderson. I thought he really struggled. I think I put him in the meh category, of those players that were kind of average in game number 1 against the Islanders. Early on, he makes a huge save in this one, kind of just setting the tone for what his whole game would be in this one. Man, he was phenomenal. There's a bit of an injury concern for the Canes early on. Tony DeAngelo took a hit, ended up going to the room, came back quickly after. So again, between that and the Aho play from game number 1, there's been some injury scares in and around the Canes already to start the season. And they've, from the looks of it, they've avoided the injury bug early on. The first penalty of the game would go to the Nashville Predators. Nick Cousins goes off for high-sticking Jordan Martinook, and the Canes head to their first power play of the game. And on that power play, Jesper Foss coming down the left wing on his offside with his right-handed shot. A beautiful wrister finds its way through Saros, and the Canes got a lead early in this one, 1-0 on the power play. And it didn't end there. I thought the Canes really did dominate a good portion of this first period, especially early on. Svetchnikov, just like in the first game against the Isles, he just kind of, trucks through like a power forward, and I think that's really what he's turning into. I think most of us would think he's a sniper at this point, but I think he's becoming like a kind of a true power forward in the league. And he just shields the puck, gets through, gets a nice chance, but Saros makes the save. I have Anderson written down here a lot. He made a nice save on Philip Forsberg shortly after this. Yeah, this guy in this game was the Frederick Anderson that that's been advertised. He completely came in later on. He has that crazy play to pull it off the goal line, keep the Canes in it. But yeah, he was really good in this one. I'm going to say his name a lot in this video, so if you hate hearing the name Frederick Anderson, probably turn it off. Nashville had a bit of penalty trouble to start this game off. A 5-on-3, 3 penalties, 3 minor penalties, I should say, in the first period alone. This 5-on-3 would end up being killed off, though, thankfully for the Preds. Martin Necas was getting his feet moving, and he's so good with the puck. He found his way around the net into the slot, got a nice shot away, but again, Saros with the big save. And toward the end of the first period, Alexander Carrier goes off for tripping against Jordan Staal, and that would pretty much close out the first period. It's a 1-0 score heading into the second period. Frederick Anderson had a terrific first period in this one, really just setting the tone for the rest of the game. He was... Yeah, I'm talking about Freddie too much at this point, but he was easily the best Canes player in this game. And opening up the second period, I saw a mistake that in the 2 full seasons I've watched Jacob Slavin play hockey, I've never seen him make this mistake. The puck goes behind the net, and he does a weird backhand play, almost like he's on the offense, trying to do one of those short side plays where you get the goalie moving across, and he goes to the wrong side. And he passed it right out. I don't know who he was trying to pass it to or what lane he saw, but he passed it directly to a Preds player. They got a shot on goal. Thankfully, Freddie, another big save. That could have been disastrous. Game remains 1-0. And then a little bit further into the second period, Svetchnikov, kind of a ticky-tack play on this one. He's in the neutral zone, and honestly, I would say 9 times out of 10, this pass is an easy one. Usually it's a little bit off the ice. I don't know if I haven't looked at the replay very closely of this one, other than what they showed on the broadcast. Kind of just a weird play on this one. He just makes a pass, and maybe he should have elevated it off the ice. Maybe he should have held it and tried to spin off or something. Nevertheless, it's a giveaway to Ryan Johansen. And Johansen back down the other way. Honestly, a perfect shielding play. I think he was up against Brady Shea, who I didn't think was great in this one, but he was certainly better than in game number 1 against the Isles. And Johansen just makes a nice play here, shields the puck perfectly, gets a great backhander off, beats Freddie Anderson, and we're tied 1-1. And right after this goal, all the momentum just swung Nashville's way. Matthias Ekholm had a nice wraparound chance. Frederick Anderson got over to stop that. And as the Canes kind of tried to battle their way back into it, the Canes didn't give up many shots in this momentum swing, but what they did give up was a lot of zone time, a lot of possession time. Thankfully, Anderson didn't have to make that many saves in this, but on the other end, they come back with a nice 2-on-1 between Faust and Staal. The defender for Nashville lays out, takes away the lane completely. Faust still manages to get it across to Staal, and Saros reads it perfectly, knew that Faust was going to pass, gets over, and robs Jordo. The Canes' power play would go 0 for 4 at this point of the game. Kunin went off or Luke Kunin, I think, maybe I'm mispronouncing that, goes off for roughing in this one, and the Canes don't really get much going on that power play. And to make matters a little bit worse, as we head into the third period, Matt Duchene gets tripped at the end of the second, so the Nashville Predators are going to start the third period on the power play. Freddie would make a pretty terrific save on this penalty kill. It would be successful, and at this point, I think the game really started to swing outside of that big chance at the end, toward the end of the game. The game really just swung right back to the Canes. Svetch was just kind of buzzing all night long, and especially in this third period. He had 2 great chances. Saros made these saves on him early in the period. And then I thought Vincent Trocheck took maybe a bit of a needless penalty. I know that we're adjusting to the new cross-checking rules. For this one, you gotta figure that these are going to get called a lot tighter now. And I think Troch just goes right in, and unfortunately on this one, he just completely cross-checks the guy, and it wasn't really necessary. A bit of a bad penalty to take, especially at that stage of the game, 1-1 in the third period. This penalty kill would lead to Frederick Anderson making that amazing save. The puck kind of gets in behind him after he makes the initial stop. He throws the hand back, swipes it off the goal line, a mad scramble in front. I think another shot got through. This really wasn't talked about in the broadcast. I'm pretty sure another shot got through, and Brady Shea was in the net and blocked it. And the penalty to Trocheck gets killed off, and immediately after, here comes Svetchnikov. Martin just makes the initial pass up to Svetchnikov. He comes into the zone on that left side, exactly where he loves to shoot from, and beats Saros clean with a wrist shot. The Canes lead 2-1 late in the game. Saros would come out of the net. Teuvo Teravainen would get an empty netter from about maybe 125 feet away from his own net. Or, sorry, I should say away from the Nashville net. Just over the blue line, chips it through. It just bounces right into the net. Canes lead 3-1 in this one, pretty much wrapping this game up. But we're not done yet. Play from the blue line. I can remember when I was watching this game, looking at Ekholm, who's just kind of sitting at the point by himself and thinking, like, he's just going to turn and shoot this and there's going to be like a lucky bounce or something, right? And sure enough, Ekholm throws it on net from the point. It bounces through. Maybe Anderson got a piece of it. I don't even remember. But it finds its way in the crease to Philip Forsberg's stick, and he pots it into the net. 3-2, Canes lead with seconds to go. Anderson would make one final stop in this one with about 17 seconds left off of the captain, Roman Josi, and that would do it. The Canes win 3-2 and improve to 2-0-0 on the season. Let's talk about the good players in this game, then we'll move into the average players, and then we'll move into the bad player I have highlighted for this game. Somebody who I thought just struggled a lot. But let's kick it off with the good stuff. Let's highlight a player from the Nashville Predators. This is a guy I know that I've been watching on the Preds, and he's a player that I really like around the league, who I think is incredibly underrated. I think he's probably a bit overpaid at this stage of his career for what he's been putting out there. He's one of my favorites to watch, and I think his IQ on the ice is some of the best around the league. He had the first goal for the Preds in this one, Ryan Johansen. Obviously, it hasn't really turned out the way I think Johansen and the Predators and GM David Poile had hoped. Bringing Johansen in a trade for Seth Jones all those years ago, lining him up next to Matt Duchene as the centerman on this team. I think they thought it would go a lot better in these first couple seasons with Duchene in Smashville, but I think Ryan Johansen has really struggled, but he's been really solid when he has been called upon. And it feels like every game that the Preds and the Canes have played, Johansen's been just he frustrates the heck out of you as a Canes fan watching him. He had that incredible goal in the second period of this game, just finding his way through, sheltering the puck off of Brady Shea and getting that beautiful backhand past Freddie Anderson perfectly into the net. And you know what? Like, the fans in Nashville are some of the best around the league. They love this guy in Nashville. I have 3 Canes players that I highlighted as good in this game. Let's start with the first one, Andrei Svetchnikov. Of course, he is having a terrific start to this season. He's been a bit streaky in the years past, and hopefully that's something he avoids in the future. But these first 2 games he's played really well. He's been dangerous all over the ice. He's trying the lacrosse move against the Islanders. He's getting this perfect snipe in this game past Saros for what you could have considered the game winner if Forsberg doesn't tap that puck in with about 30 seconds left. I thought he's had 2 incredibly strong games to start, and that's all you can really want from Svetch. Jesper Fast, an incredible wrist shot to start the game, getting the Canes on the board early in this one, and he was just really effective. That third line of Stahl, Niederreiter, and Fast has been really good to start the season. He's got a lot of chemistry with Jordan Stahl. Nino is just a player that is going to fill in every role that could possibly be had on this team. No matter what is asked of him, he goes out and does it. So that third line is something to keep a watch on as we progress throughout this season, because I think it was really, really good. And in fact, it was the only line that Rod Brendamore didn't mess around with in this game. And of course, Frederick Anderson, his best game as a Carolina Hurricane so far. I know he's only played 2, but his game, honestly, I've watched a lot of Leafs games. I live just outside of Toronto. It's kind of hard to avoid. Literally, as I'm recording this video, the Rangers game's on next to me. He's had a lot of struggles, and he's not a goaltender. I was confident when they announced they signed him that he was going to be the goalie for this team. But in this game, he played phenomenal. He was so good. He was locked in. Trip Tracy kept saying that on the broadcast. Freddie's locked in. And he truly was. He had a phenomenal game, even though it looks like it was very close. It really wasn't. This game was not that close. And that was because of Frederick Anderson. He was so good in this one. Talking about a player that was a bit average in this game, I'm going to give that one to Brady Shea. I didn't think he had a strong game, but he did make that play in the third period, maybe on the goal line to stop a goal behind Freddie. I think he recovered a lot in that third period and to shut down Nashville, and he was pretty good. So I'm going to give him an average game there. Again, I think he's a little bit better than I think he even on like an average night. I think he's better than what we saw here. He was really bad against the Isles, so I'm hoping he's just slowly coming up to pace, and he'll be a lot better going forward. And bad. Okay, I saw a lot of stuff that I didn't really agree with about this. I saw a lot of I don't know what the word would be for it, but I thought Kasperi Kotkaniemi was dreadful in this game. I don't know if it's an adjustment to Rod's system or what is going on here, but he wasn't even moving his feet. I think Rod's system is very built on effort and putting the energy out there and doing the work on each shift, and that is exemplified by guys like Trocheck and Martinuk, and Fost even down this lineup. And man, Kotkaniemi's just kind of floating out there. I'm not willing to write him off or anything and say this whole offer sheet was a mistake or anything like that. I think there's so much potential with Kasperi Kotkaniemi on this team that it's hard to see him doing this already. But I think he's going to improve. I think as he develops in the system a little bit more, there's guys around on the team right now that are picking it up way, way faster than he is. So he's a player I'm kind of watching a little bit closely as we head into playing his former team on Thursday night I shouldn't say in Montreal, but against Montreal. Yeah, I really want to see something out of KK going forward. Anyways, I probably left a player or two out. I think everybody, if I didn't mention a player here, that's not to mean they played bad or anything. It might just mean that they're playing how they usually play, and I don't notice that. Like, I thought Ethan Bear played just as good as game one in this one. Now my expectations for Ethan Bear are just through the roof, so like as long as he just keeps along this plane here, I'm not really going to notice like him playing overly great. But I'm sure I'll notice more stuff as the season progresses. Anyways, guys, that's going to do it for this episode. Thank you so much for watching. If you liked the video, give it a thumbs up down below. If you like the content here and you want more of it, hit that subscribe button down below and the notification bell so you get the videos as soon as they upload. And as always, guys, I will catch you on the next one.